Hello, you lovely people, and welcome back to the Quake Pro League as we are still in week 9. We've only had one match, so we've still got plenty more to come. It's all good. Still got 6 more matches. The next one being Effortless versus nosfa. And fully, we're going to have a long discussion about this one because nosfa had a very good start to begin with. Sadly, he did lose to Saigib and Rafa the last couple of matches he's been playing in. But then again, that match against Saigib was perfectly understandable. Saigib has been playing absolutely out of his skull over the last few weeks in terms of his recent form. Been playing tremendously well. Effortless only won one map so far in the Pro League.
This is indeed going to be an uphill battle for Effortless. Indeed, like you said, he's won only one map, which I believe was against Sip. Other than that, he hasn't secured any wins during this stage just yet. Can he turn it around against nosfa? That remains to be seen, but the Brazilian is, of course, a formidable opponent, having already defeated both Maxter Chain earlier on, as well as Sip, currently putting him at a 3-2 win-loss record for this stage. And we know that nosfa has been hitting hard, and I don't know if Effortless rather can stand up to that today.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. As you know, nosfa was known as one of the AIM stars coming into the Pro League so long ago, but now he's actually been able to strategically add a lot of elements into his game in order to be an incredible tactician, and also been a lot more unorthodox over the last few months as well. So there's a lot to add here in terms of how nosfa's performance has been. It's been sadly for him, he has lost to Rafa, which is it's normal. Let's be honest, it's pretty normal nowadays, considering like Rafa's won 60 matches in a row in the Americas region, so he's not going to be too down about that. But losing to Saigib, yeah, is probably a bit of a kick in the teeth really for him. But he does know and realise that Saigib has been performing really well over the last couple of weeks as well. But he's put all that behind him. He's going to put his main focus being on Effortless. But the only reason why I worry about Effortless now, not just because he's only won one map so far at this stage or anything else in between, it's due to the maps as well. Like, both of them have, very similar favourites in terms of their maps, and statistically, they both enjoy playing Ruins, Awoken, and sometimes Molten Falls for the side of nosfa as well. But the thing is, though, for Effortless, it's pretty much pick your poison at that point.
Indeed, and we're about to take a look at which poison he picked today, since I do think we've got the picks and the bans ready and we can take a look at that. Now, looks like we are starting it off with Ruins, followed by Awoken, followed by Molten Falls. So all 3 of the maps that you mentioned, Lethal, will indeed be played today. Now, first of all, Ruins of Sarnath. We saw the Visor being played by Cooler earlier as well. This time it will be nosfa, but he's going up against Strox, so that's a lot more mobility. Quite a bit of verticality here as well that can make good use of the peaker, so Effortless definitely has an advantage when it comes to overall speed. Now the second map will then be Awoken. That was Effortless's pick. He's running Ranger, again a powerful champion on this map, but Athena, now that is a sight for sore eyes. If you know how to play her well, she can be a true force of nature on quite a few maps, such as Blood Covenant, but also on Awoken. And then finally Molten Falls, we're seeing the Scale Bearer come out to play once more. Pretty common, very popular pick on this map, but he's going up against the Eisen, and we all know that the Eisen turret can be used to just stop a bull rush in its tracks.
I can't believe I mentioned all 3 maps. All 3 maps occurred. Yeah. I didn't expect Molten Falls to be there though. Just probably a little bit more research should have been had there just to keep an eye, because I don't think many people actually know that nosfa's actually pretty good at Molten Falls. Like, every time I've seen him perform on it, he's actually doing tremendously well. He's either had super close games and he's lost, or he's actually won by a huge milestone. And seeing Ruins and Awoken, I'm not surprised in the slightest. It's like I said before, statistically, both these players love these maps, and it was more up to Effortless, really, more on his side. He knows what he's dealing with in terms of how nosfa is, so it's up to him whether, if he thinks he's got the confidence and to go, well, actually I'm better on these maps compared to you, or he could have gone for something a little bit more unpredictable. But I think he's just playing it safe. Effortless is just like, well, do you know what, I like Ruins and Awoken as well. I'm just going to stick by my guns, and hopefully I can outplay you on my best maps as well. But Molten Falls is going to be a tricky one, as we will see the Scale Bearer once again.
I also love that we're essentially getting a repeat of last match they played against each other. It was also Ruins, Awoken, and Molten Falls, albeit not in the same order, but still the same maps were played then as well. nosfa took a 2-1 victory. He took home Ruins and Molten, but it was Effortless who convincingly took a win on Awoken. So let's see if that is going to be any different today. It should nevertheless be a very interesting matchup. Effortless right now kind of in the danger zone, or not so much kind of, as definitely in the danger zone. We don't have that many weeks left. This is week 9, meaning that there's 3 more series to come. I don't even know if Effortless will be playing all 3 weeks or if he has a bye week, but every single map can be so important for him if he still wants to have a shot at escaping relegation.
He definitely has the opportunity to try and come back from this. It's just going to be very, very tough. He needs to, even if he loses this series, like in terms of our prediction, like he needs to try and scrape some of his maps by, because he needs to give himself some kind of leadway. If he does, then great, then he won't feel too bad about himself going into the future matchups. And you're right, though, you know, he's only played 4 matches. Some of the others have played 6, so he's still got plenty of time to work with to try and come back in this. And you've already said yourself as well that he did win on Awoken the last time these two met each other in terms of their last matchup. And can he do it again? That's going to be the next question, which we'll find momentarily. But in terms of nosfa's form, this is probably the best time for Effortless to try and, you know, kick him while he's down, because he has lost the last 2 matches. First one being to Rafa, standard, you know, like I already mentioned before, and the second one losing to a very strong side give. So in terms of how Effortless is going to play this one out, we'll have to see.
Indeed, quite curious to see what kind of strategy both players are going to adopt moving into this very first map. Looks like we are just about ready to kick things off. It will be Ruins of Sarnath. Effortless versus nosfa. The Brazilian will be running the visor, whereas Effortless, starting off on his point of view, has got the strong, but he gets caught in such a bad position. Effortless! He tried to jump through the doorway, but the LG pushed him back slightly and got him caught on the side of the door frame, leading to an early demise since he didn't have any weapons to work with at that range. Now Effortless does get Mega, gets good positioning, and I think nosfa kind of overextended, trying to just pick up Mega as well, and he's paying a price for it. However, Effortless, due to a lack of weaponry, was unable to actually secure the frag.
93% of you at home are predicting nosfa's going to take this. And I don't blame you, considering the history of these two players. But nosfa got to a very nice early start with that 1-0 lead, using the piercing sign out to find out exactly what shenanigans Effortless is going to be up to. nosfa does find him. He does miss the first round, but then again, so does Effortless. So there's going to be no difference there. Just going to try and back away and go for this light in the courtyard. So we're going to see a little bit of a slower start compared to what we saw right at the very beginning. Like you rightly said earlier, Effortless caught himself on the door frame, not something you like to see every day. Good first rail there from nosfa's going to try and go for the second. But do you know what? That 79 rocket's going to be perfectly fine here, Flea. As he was expecting to go for the TP, not going to happen, as Effortless knows his boundaries, realised that he was actually behind him, but nosfa now just going to push on in to see if he can get a better angle on Effortless. But Effortless, rightly so, managed to back away, picks up the light in the courtyard, going to try and re-engage and gets the first rail hit. Surely this is going to be a frag for nosfa. Yes, it is, and he still has the piercing sight to use now. Yes, he will. Picks up the heavy, and now could be going in for the 3rd frag.
Effortless, the rail needs to be so solid. Missed one too many important shots right there. And now he's racing towards Mega. He will be the one to pick it up. Oh, he actually could get himself a frag right here. nosfa dropping down with just 34 points of health, but Effortless decides not to chase, no doubt, due to the fact that he only had the machine gun and the tribal to work with, but this could be a way back in. Although I don't think he's got the exact timing on heavy, and that's probably why he's a little bit hesitant on the push. Does get the frag, but nosfa denies the heavy. That is crucial, Lethal, because now Effortless is not in a position where he can just push onto the Mega and get full control easily. He should still be able to do it, but that is mainly because nosfa kind of allowed him to do so. The Brazilian player just very careful right there, didn't want to make a rush for it in case Effortless showed up with a tremendous arsenal to work with. And now Effortless has got a pretty decent rotation going on, but it looks like nosfa once more throwing a spanner in the works, and Effortless very hesitant to take these fights, Lethal.
Yeah, he's very aggressive, isn't he, Flea? I do like that from Effortless. Oh, that was a nice angle there from Effortless. Does get that first rail, but you got to remember he cannot fight this. He cannot take it by any means, but it does decide to drop down anyway to try and do some damage to that rail, but it does technically have 93 in terms of his HP and his armor, so he's not railable, but after picking up that, he'll be fine. He's definitely railable now, though, as Effortless does back away. nosfa just keeping his tabs on him just to make sure. Oh, that was a good tri-bolt, but he doesn't make it to the heavy, but neither does Effortless, as now he does get taken down and going straight for that heavy. Not yet, though. I think he's curious to see if he has spawned on the staircase, but he hasn't, and does manage to pick up that heavy.
Effortless definitely got the better spawn in that situation. Has to give up Mega, but there we go. nosfa takes 150, 170 something damage from the Peeker. Ouch! And that was all because of the lack of weapons. That is why Effortless went for that ability. He knew that his opponent just didn't have anything that could do consistent burst damage and get rid of the little drone. No railgun in nosfa's hands means a lot of free, unreturned damage. And now Effortless is actually managing to close the gap. He's just one frag behind.
Effortless now trying to contest this Mega if he can. He's trying to get a mid-air rocket. Not going to get it though, as nosfa does clean that up and picks up the Mega as well. Heavy will be coming up in the next 10 seconds. Does have piercing sight in his back pocket. Ooh, good direct there from nosfa. He's trying to get another, but now he's realised on 43 HP, back down to 2. Does manage to survive that, and now Effortless has got plenty of time to pick up that heavy. But this is where Effortless can come back here. He's got, you know, the better stack at the moment. He's got the items in terms of segregation very heavily segregated in his favour, and just needs to add a little bit more caution as to where nosfa could be. Good rockets here from nosfa, but will Effortless take him down? He somehow manages to survive on 10 HP. This is just ridiculous here, Flay.
That was such a risky push from Effortless. I can't believe he went for it after taking that first rocket. When nosfa was spamming rockets from near the bounce pad and Effortless just kind of YOLO'd his way into the room, that's so risky. You're taking a close quarters fight with an LG against nosfa's rockets when Effortless didn't even have rockets of his own. He still doesn't have the rockets in his hand. Oh my god, that's all of the hard work of the past, what, 45 seconds negated just like that. Rocket into rail and off you go, back to the drawing board. Oh, caught in such a bad position. This should be a frag for nosfa. Effortless manages to do a decent amount of damage there. Peeker into LG, but he's got to be careful. He has to stop the bleeding now before nosfa just runs away with control and the score line.
Oh, these rails. Yeah, it's just a shame. All that work he put in earlier, been 190 gone just like that. Absolutely typical, but that's this game in a nutshell here. Effortless just barely able to stay alive. Luckily for him, nosfa actually ran out of LG ammo. But look at his ammo management here. He needs to try and take him down, but he doesn't, as Effortless does win that last engagement. But yeah, the ammo management from nosfa isn't really working in his favour. Barely any rockets, no LG. And if he did have a little bit more LG, definitely would have won that 100%. But Effortless needs to try and back away if he can. But he could actually trap nosfa in this courtyard if he wants, as he's just trying to glide into that wall and trying to give himself a bit of leadway, or any leadway he can find. Effortless a 56 HP, and that was disgusting from Effortless.
Effortless finds the one pixel that he needs and makes it work. A one frag game. Will pick up the heavy to work with. Nailgun has to be good. He's in a bad position. Can't quite hit it. Switches to LG. It's shaft on shaft, and nosfa's proves to be the bigger one as he takes down his opponent. This is a crucial time right now. Mega's going to spawn shortly. Effortless, he needs to make sure that he does not get outplayed in terms of the positional game right here, because he might lose out on all of the majors. Now nosfa, perhaps a bit careless, but makes it work because Effortless's aim falters a bit much right there. nosfa was just expecting Effortless to already be way over on the LG side, or rather the Mega side of the map, so he thought it was clear for him to go through the teleporter, but he absolutely wasn't. And Effortless, I feel like he's played half the game without a rocket so far, Lethal, and it's not working out for him.
Yeah, he's actually only 5-16, so you're definitely on the money in terms of how he's actually been approaching this. But Effortless, beautiful peeker from above, and he does have a couple minutes left remaining here, Flea, so still plenty of time to work with. Huge stack as well for nosfa though, but it's going to be a bit of a problem for Effortless to deal with, so he's got to try and do that chip damage. Oh, the 190 there is definitely going to help him out massively, but he is railable though. Got to have a little bit of caution as he approaches this next item. Depends what he's going to go for first though. Looks like he's going to prioritize the kill rather than the items here, but that first rail will not do itself justice here, as he does need to go for this Mega.
The piercing sight helped nosfa tremendously right there. That is how he managed to land that shot easily and outplay Effortless. Now, Effortless does get the Mega, and he still has time. There's 90 seconds left to work with. He isn't yet in full desperation mode, and he can absolutely still make this work. Stack, slightly in nosfa's favor, but really not by much. And Effortless is the one who's sitting more around the center area of the map, but takes 2 bad rails. Can he even go for heavy? nosfa is actually looking to close it out. nosfa does not just want to sit and run down the clock. When he gets the upper hand, he wants to make the most out of it and secure his victory by more than just 1 frag. And now he puts himself in a bad position. Effortless should be able to take this with the peeker. There's a few bullets, that's all it takes. 1 railgun shot will clean it up. Can he find the angle? nosfa stuck in a bad position. He does clean it up, but not before taking a shot of his own. And now it is a race for the Mega. Effortless will get there first. nosfa won't even compete. Oh my god, these Brazilian rails today. 52% from nosfa. Over 1,000 points of damage. Same goes for Effortless actually, but nosfa is hitting them when they matter the most.
Took the words right out of my mouth there. A lot of the times nosfa's been at a positional disadvantage with the rail, and he's just hit him every single time. We've seen Max to do it as well time and time again. They're both just as good as each other in terms of that kind of situation, but you saw there nosfa just on that heavy jump pad ready to contest the item though. But look at the time though, 5 seconds left. Effortless is going to try and come from behind, and will he be able to do it? No, he will not, as nosfa will be trying to get away as fast as he possibly can to make sure he does secure that 1 frag win over Effortless. So definitely much closer than I expected. Very similar damage count as well in terms of damage done and the influence it had in terms of the map presence. In terms of item congestion, 18 for Effortless and 16 for nosfa. So you can see nosfa's been a little bit more cost effective with those items there.
Indeed, really not a bad game for Effortless. Definitely made his opponent work for it and could have gone either way up until the very last second. The peeker plays, I think, were quite impressive on Effortless's behalf. Got a lot of utility out of that ability. nosfa, of course, doing the same for his piercing sight, helping himself land some very important and critical rails. But overall, Effortless, I feel like there were a few too many small mistakes that he made, especially around the items, in terms of engaging or disengaging or showing up a little late and giving nosfa an edge that he perhaps didn't really deserve. That kind of resulted in him being played off the map quite a bit. Also very surprising to see the lack of rockets. Again, I called it out mid-game, but only now am I seeing the damage dealt. Effortless, 200 points of rocket damage versus nosfa clearing 1,000. That just shows that the American player barely even went for the rockets. It almost feels like he only picked it up when nosfa dropped it, or when he just happened to be in the vicinity. But other than that, he neglected a key part of the Unholy Trinity, and I think that really came back to bite him in some of these engagements.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird that he neglected that quite a lot, like you rightly said. It's not something you would normally see. I've seen it on occasions, even with someone like, not picking up the LG that much. I've seen that from on the odd occasion. But yeah, that definitely would have given him a little bit of a helping hand, especially in that matchup. But I must say, Effortless did a phenomenal job just making sure he can try and make that comeback. And that pixel peak rail he did earlier on that nail courtyard, it just gave me chills on my spine there, Fleet. It was just wonderful, wonderful indeed. But now we're going to go into the second game, or the second map, shall we say. And I'm not going to lie to you, Effortless put up a really good fight against nosfa. A lot better than we expected. I'm not saying that, it was going to be a bit more one-sided for nosfa. But then again, from what we've seen from Effortless, I feel a lot more comfortable that he can maybe take at least one map in favour of himself. And you did say, rightly so, that, Awoken's going to be the next map. This is the map he actually took from nosfa last time round, so we can see if Effortless can do a replica of that last series.
And he took it convincingly too, by over 10 frags, if I remember correctly. But now, I think the biggest question on my mind now is, how does Effortless deal with this loss? We know that Effortless is a player who can be pretty prone to tilting, right? We've seen it happen. He starts typing in the chat. He's done a lot less of that in recent history, so he's definitely improved when it comes to keeping his cool. But still, that close of a game backfiring and him losing to one of the best players in the Americas by just 1 frag, that could be a little bit demotivating and could affect his game. So I really hope that he's able to keep that focus going into map 2, that he doesn't let it get to him, and that he takes it as a sign of, I can do it. It came down to a single frag. If I do it again and a tiny bit more twice in a row, I can still win this series.
Well, Quake, it's a mental game as well as just being on and off the server. Effortless, though, like he said, if he's improved his mental state in terms of fortitude, then I'm sure he'll be able to come back from this nevertheless. He seemed quite calm from a lot of those deaths he took when you saw earlier on those player cams. nosfa just looking to go back onto the tri-box, getting that top mid control. Does hear the whereabouts of where Effortless is, but now he's going to find him with the LG. That was a brilliant LG there from nosfa. Takes him down in quick fashion. Will be within the 30-second mark. Has picked up the mega, but the items have been segregated enough for nosfa to contest both here. So he's going to go nicely to the heavy with a little bit of flair. A few style points there from him. Already massively stacked now. And look at the patience from nosfa, just trying to hear out for his opponent rather than trying to be on the flank here, there, and absolutely everywhere. So nosfa, good start from him so far.
I don't know if Effortless meant to go all the way with the bounce pad or if he just messed up the wall clip, but that was a pretty careless push, if it was intentional at least. Now we're getting a fight around Mega. nosfa has the better positioning, gets the item to work with as well, and does a tremendous amount of damage with that tri-bolt, which should give him this next item, the heavy, for free. nosfa has now been consistently cycling the items. The only one that Effortless has had access to is that one mega that he spawned right next to. So it really is nosfa who has been dictating the control and the flow of this map. But stacks really aren't favoring nosfa that much. In fact, he's now just falling behind after taking that rail. Mega will top him up nicely and he should be the first in position for heavy as well. But Effortless still has got something to work with here. Actually cutting off nosfa over at heavy. That orb falls a little bit short. Can he make it work? Indeed, he finds a shot, ties it up just before heavy spawns. And this is good for Effortless. 1-1. He's still in it.
Oh, but he gets caught off guard with the LG there in the heavy machine gun room, and it looks like he will be able to clean them up. Left on 34 HP. That was very short-lived there, I think, Flea, but it looks like Effortless is going to be coming straight back. Oh my god. The tracking on nosfa's LG there was just absolute filth, and he's still putting on the pressure. Just waiting to see if nosfa's going to go towards the LG, which he does. Yeah, that was just disgusting.
That's what I meant when I said a bit careless at the start as well. Effortless is just putting himself so far out there that he's been caught by surprise at least twice already. And also that push for that small armor is just quite bizarre. No doubt he will drop one more frag here at least. And nosfa should definitely be the first to pick up the mega as well. Now Effortless does have a pretty solid stack off spawn and does a fair bit of tickle damage with that heavy machine gun, but can he drop down? He's actually going to use the orb beautifully. That was perfectly executed by Effortless. He knew that dropping down on the LG would likely have him floated, maybe even pushed out of the map. So he just immediately dropped that orb to escape that upwards push, the knockback of that weapon, and instead got himself quite a nice frag with the super shotgun.
I still don't understand what happened when Effortless pushed from the LG towards the mega, and it looks like it's taking way too much damage. Way too much.
He should not have pushed into the room right there. He should have just held the T, not gotten that far out. Again, that's what I'm saying. He's overextending, putting himself too far out there, and then he can't quite rival the intensity and the damage that nosfa is putting forth, and he just doesn't have a way back out. He can't get back to safety and get away from the damage. So nosfa has been able to clean up quite a few frags that way.
Oh my.
And again, the exact same thing. nosfa is sitting on mega. He's guaranteed to get that 100 boost of stack injection, and Effortless just pushes out and get dismantled.
No, he says nothing's here. Yeah, well, it's going to be very difficult because, to say the least, like earlier on when he pushed from LG to mega, like, that should have been a clear fight. Effortless should have won there, because you saw him, but nosfa, after that last engagement, he was very weak, and I was gobsmacked that Effortless didn't take that fight. That was the only time I felt like, when Effortless pushed, I was like, I can understand that. He's going for the trade. nosfa won't be able to win this engagement, and if he does, that would be close to a miracle. And nosfa did win that engagement, and his LG was just absolutely remarkable.
Effortless needs to focus on the rail right now. He says that nothing is hitting, and that does appear to be true for his rockets and LG, but he's at 77% railgun accuracy right now. That's the weapon that's clearly been working for him so far. That is what he should prioritize. But nosfa, on the other hand, is doing a really good job at denying his opponent access to the railgun. Effortless hasn't had it all live. He still wants to go and pick it up, But nosfa is playing this in such a strategic way that he's not even giving his opponent access to the room. Good rail off spawn as well. Oh, I think nosfa caught sight of his opponent. Definitely heard the armor pick up there though, so this is getting increasingly unlikely for Effortless to mount a comeback now.
It really is indeed. Effortless has started playing a little bit predictable now on spawn. We've done it a couple of times now, and I must say the LG sound effects now, it just makes it sound 10 times worse when it goes above 100 and we're just consistently doing that damage. It's just brilliant. And yeah, Effortless, you were saying before, kind of overextended on way too many occasions here. I don't know if it's something's tilted him, like earlier on, especially when he missed out on that trade for the Mega, because it did seem a little bit strange with the fact that, you know, it pushed towards the Mega from the LG, didn't at least, you know, I can understand his thought process just going to go for that trade. He should have won that fight. He was at least 100 HP up and still didn't win it, which is not something we would normally see, but the LG from nosfa is just, again, like I've already mentioned earlier, just pure filth. And now I can see what Effortless can do here with 3 minutes and 45 left remaining.
Indeed, he still has time to work with, but he's got to kick it into a higher gear right now. He did finally secure himself the second Mega. That's his first since those opening 5 seconds where he spawned on it. There we go, that's a good aggressive push. Orb Rocket, he makes it through, disintegrating nosfa while he's at it. 6 frags in 3.5 minutes, it is entirely possible, but Athena is one of the fastest and most mobile champions in the entire roster, so getting a good grip, a good read on that, and catching your opponent, that's gonna be difficult. Effortless, bizarrely, just gave nosfa a free heavy. Did Effortless just not have timing? I guess he just didn't know when heavy was spawning, because in doing so, he actually gave nosfa a tremendous time, or a lifeline rather, to work with.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. I thought it was might have been a gentleman's agreement just to go for both those items instead, and maybe he just didn't realise that actually they were quite close to each other. But decided to prioritize the Mega instead. Effortless, great LG there from him. Good comeback as well. Still, he can find 6 frags in these 2.5 minutes, but he has to be super quick in terms of what he wants to do. That was a good ult placement there. Nice way to get the flank on nosfa. He did not expect that at all. Maybe thought he was just going to fake him out, but let's be real here. Effortless needed to make these kind of, not clutch plays, but, you know, these well thought out strategic elements in his gameplay just to make sure he can try and get an early advantage and try and get his kills a lot earlier than he would like to. But still, though, nosfa only with a slight stack advantage here, but Effortless is doing a good job just making sure keeping track on these items in terms of time and getting the heavy then the Mega every single time and just keeping that cycle going. But he needs to be super aggressive on his approach. He still needs to find 5 kills in the next 2 minutes.
And when he's up against that level of LG, I think he knew that he just wasn't connecting, and nosfa was glued to him. I really do agree with you on that orb. That was a beautiful play. Effortless has to really step it up with attempts like that. But it always makes me hold my breath when a player goes for a long distance orb like that, because if you wait half a second too long, lethal, you're out of the map. You will teleport straight into the cold, dead waters of Awoken. It almost happened. Effortless's timing was, of course, immaculate. But still, that would be one way to throw the map. And now, with barely more than a minute left to go, I do think that it is done and dusted. nosfa should be the one to secure a victory. It has to go incredibly wrong for that to change. I really think that what I said when we were 2 minutes into the game still holds true. Effortless just overextended far too much, got a little careless in deciding which fights he would or wouldn't take, and then got caught out with no real way out. Like, nosfa has the better stack to begin with. You know you're losing on the LG side of things, so pushing into the room with no real escape route when nosfa is getting that health injection from the Mega, that is essentially just suicide. The weapon that was really working for him at that time, and still is at 64% accuracy, is the railgun. Effortless should have tried playing around that a lot more and just tried to whittle down the stack that nosfa gained with tactical railgun shots, because you're only playing a light champion. One good rail, and that Mega is basically just gone.
Oh, that flick. Well, Effortless, he came out with a little bit of style towards the end at least, but I still feel like, you know, in terms of that trade for the Mega, I think that was literally the turning point there. That's where things kind of went a bit peak-tongue, shall we say, in terms of how he wanted to approach the rest of that matchup. And look at the item control as well. 26 for nosfa for 11 of Effortless. Not really too sure exactly what happened for him during that matchup, but yeah, you're absolutely spot on there. It doesn't, there's a lot to dissect, but it's very, very obvious what occurred there. After that one initial engagement and he lost it, even when, nosfa was very, very weak as you're trying to go for that trade for the Mega, he overextended, and then he kind of overstayed his welcome on quite a few occasions as well. And he even saw, like, in terms of his weapon selection going into some of those fights, like even right near the end when he had the rockets and, nosfa's top mid, after he missed the first two, he should have just switched to the LG straight away because he did have the stack advantage, but instead he fired a couple more, realized that he's pretty much done himself in here, and all we can do is try and get as much damage done to nosfa before he gets cleaned up here. But yeah, this was the one engagement where it definitely turned that around, and you can see there just nosfa was continuing to do work. Nice little flick there at the end from Effortless, but it's not going to give him that W. As you can see there, that's a huge amount of damage in comparison. 1,018 more damage in comparison to Effortless's damage count there in terms of map presence. Still not a huge amount of rocket damage, but then again, neither did nosfa. It was all about the LG that time round. But speaking of LG, look at that. Not only was it 46%, but he did 2,848 damage with the LG. He loves the new sound effects, doesn't he, Flea?
I mean, if you're hitting that level of LG, it definitely feels good. I mean, it just makes it sound so much more brutal than it can be, right? You mentioned that yourself. So, yeah, now the final map, though, this will be Molten Falls. I am worried for Effortless, also because I'm looking at chat right now and he's talking about just ending it. So I think that he just wants this to be over with. Doesn't really have a whole lot of confidence moving into the final one of this series, but he could do it. He has Scalebearer, who is a top tier pick on this map, stack advantage over his opponent. Server is once again NA East, so that should help out Effortless somewhat. He just has to find a way to get around that turret, because the turret can just instantly shut down that bull rush and block your attempts at doing damage, and then you're just caught. Zero momentum, zero mobility, turret starts dealing damage to you at close range, and that can be dangerous. But Effortless, like we talked about earlier, so far has only won one map against Sip. He's got an opportunity to make it two now. This isn't over yet. He really pushed nosfa to the limits on that first map, and I'm sure that he can do it again.
Well, Effortless might have said it in chat just to, put the channel points in favour of nosfa and then go on a dip. So, that could be another thing you could be doing there. But yeah, look at it's just a real shame because that first map was so good. It was really entertaining. I felt I had a lot of expectations for Effortless going to this next map, considering how he was doing in that series. But of course, you have said it yourself, like, in your own words, he probably did tilt a little bit after that one engagement for their Mega. But that's all it can be sometimes. That's all it could come down to. Because you know what it's like with Quake, has got a very, very huge skill ceiling, like on the server, but off the server as well. In terms of your mental state, you really got to try and do your absolute best to reset it after you go to each map, not just each series. And it's very, very tough for him. But I suppose, we saw some indications there. He's getting a little bit, frustrated. We talked it before, the overextension and, just overstaying his welcome on a number of occasions here and just could not get anything done. But this is Molten Falls. This is, again, one of the better maps from nosfa. nosfa, do you know what? He's been pretty much laughing at this point because his three best maps, and it's all three of them here in this series. So he's probably very grateful that he's going to have a fantastic series and treat it like his playground. But the first two maps were also Effortless's best maps, but just couldn't get anything going in that second map. But we're going to start off from Effortless's POV. We're going to see what he can do here. See if he can pull his way back in comparison to the performance on Awoken. Just a little bit of a shame there, but we'll see though if he can reset his mental fortitude coming into this, as he does realise nosfa is fair. But nosfa, even though he did a tickle of damage with the rockets, decides to back away and go towards the top shotgun to get positional advantage, going towards that heavy. But heavy's not coming up for at least another 12 seconds, with the Mega coming up any second now.
It will be nosfa who secures the Mega health. I like that Effortless is pushing out a fair bit, projecting power across the map. doesn't just want to put himself in a bad position waiting for Heavy to spawn, but he actually wants to push out and rather deal some damage to nosfa before it gets to that point. But that kind of backfired. Yes, he did a fair bit of damage. Yes, he got away with the Heavy, but nosfa definitely hurt him more. Rockets flying around his face, and Effortless has to get out. Just 50 points of health to work with. I think he's going to have to surrender the Heavy as well. Actually, he's just gonna go for it. He's gonna go for it. He knows that the turret has been used, so that can't be used to block him. But nosfa survives and lands a solid rocket. And that is 1-0 for the Brazilian.
Yeah, very close affair there. nosfa, I was gonna say, if Effortless carried on pushing, then he would have got a nice frag, but beautiful LG there from Effortless to try and respond. And nosfa just can't get away from him. He's still in that LG range. But managed to recover, and he's going to be able to pick up this Heavy as well. So nosfa's going to be laughing at this point. He's just trying to see when Effortless is going to push it on up. Misses those 2 rockets, but the main thing is he does get the rail to give himself a little bit more leadway. Good try bolt as well with the LG coming out for both of these players. But will Effortless be able to win it? No, he will not. As nosfa wins that second engagement, up 2-0 now. It's only been a couple of minutes, and it's been a very aggressive approach to this matchup.
This breaks the heart. Effortless actually doing such good damage at the start of these fights, but then it just basically falters and declines to next to 0 damage output towards the end, and then nosfa somehow gets a frag that he absolutely should not have gotten away with. He's playing out of control, or has been playing out of control for the past minute or so. Effortless is the one securing most of the items, at least for this past rotation, but nosfa is just expertly staying clear from his opponent. I also like that he's holding on to the turret. nosfa is not just dropping it down to get some information or random strings of damage. He's holding on to it to block Effortless.
Oh no! Oh no! It was at such a disadvantage, and nosfa still managed to win that engagement. Oh, Fleet, you know what? If that's not tilted, I don't know what is, because that is just something you just hate to see, innit?
Finally, Effortless establishes control, catches nosfa off guard, lands a completely free rail, and pushes in. And then that happens. It all just falls apart. That one rocket sending him one step too far. Over the edge he goes into the molten lava of the map. And now nosfa is just not letting off. Oof. Good thing for Effortless that nosfa kind of messed up the movement right there and got caught on the door for him, because he probably would have dropped dead if his opponent made it through. Now Effortless, that's a good defensive railgun. Can he get away with taking Heavy? Is he even considering going for Heavy? Looks like he won't. He realizes that that one railgun alone is not enough. Oh, that's a shame for Effortless. That was a really good rocket, very clever trap as well. Strategically, it was sound, but the rocket gave his opponent just so much vertical momentum that he couldn't follow up with anything, and that it was actually nosfa who did most of the damage in that engagement.
Yeah, nosfa was going to lose that bout no matter how you see it here, and then the suicide as well doesn't matter because nosfa is going to be A-okay with that, because he's still got that 2 frag lead. Yeah, I still can't go over it. Yeah, it was definitely, of course, the rocket positioning. But it's like I said before, you know, it was already a little bit tilted. Like, the poor guy's trying to reset his mentality going into this last map, but that's not going to do him any favours. And look at the aggression from nosfa with the LG. That was just textbook stuff there. Now going straight into see if we can corner him off at the rail. But I like that from Effortless. He realised that nosfa was probably going to push towards that rail on spawn and decided just to, you know, bide his time, just see exactly what nosfa's going to be up to, realised, and then backed away straight after. But that is absolutely typical, as Effortless decided to go all the way around to add the weapons in his arsenal to go for that rail, but instead had to deal with nosfa on the matchup because he was still there considering he was picking up that Heavy. But now, picks up the Mega. Still a stack deficit, but nosfa should win this engagement. Oh no, he lost it. I was going to say, he ran out of LG ammo, but luckily for him, he had time for that weapon swap and did clean him up with those rockets. So I was a little bit worried there, Flea, not going to lie.
It's one of the problems with scale, right? We talked about this on the previous map. Effortless sometimes getting a bit careless with overextending. Well, when you're running a champion that's built around just a train of speed around the map, it's so easy to get yourself in positions where you don't want to be. And I think that Effortless had no business showing up after that Mega. Probably should have better positioned himself before the heavy instead. And now we're exchanging some rails. And this is still entirely possible. This is, despite all the damage that has been exchanged, has remained a pretty close game. nosfa has a decent lead of 4 frags, but there's still 4 minutes to go, and Effortless has got the speed, the mobility, the stack, and the damage on his side. So this could still go in favor of the American.
You're absolutely spot on there, Fleet, in terms of how we can approach nosfa in this matchup. 3.5 minutes left remaining, so that will give him a bit of leadway here. Does drop down, but that first rail is not going to do him any favours. nosfa just standing his ground and just waiting for nosfa to try and approach him. Good second rail there from nosfa. So how is he now going to try and go for this flank? Will he even push up here at this point? The heavy's come up in the next couple of seconds. Both players have actually decided to do the exact same thing, and now nosfa with the right weapon switch there, switching towards the LG just to get that guaranteed damage in case he does miss with that rail. Good rail there once again from nosfa, and now this is where time's starting to run out because Effortless has to try and restack and deal with the pressure which nosfa is giving out towards Effortless. But so far so good, and we're going to see what's going to happen next because there's only 4 kills down, but it can feel like a lifetime of Molten Falls.
You can very clearly see that nosfa has approached a more defensive playstyle. Oh, off he goes. There we go. That is going to help Effortless. That might just be the breath of fresh air, the momentum that he needs. Finally, after taking a dip himself, things going in his favor in that exchange. And he will be the one to secure heavy. But what I imagine is going to happen now is that nosfa is just going to double down on that defensive playstyle that we already saw him kind of pull off in the past minute or two, and now just fully commit to it. Mega's about to spawn. Effortless doesn't even show his face. Wants to get some more armor to work with, I suppose. There we go, that's a good opening rail. Goes for the rush. Expert block. Oh, that is why Ison is the #1 counter to scale. If he didn't have the turret, Effortless would have absolutely knocked him clean off the map. But he just dropped it, blocked that offense completely, and then just finished it off, turned it around entirely because he had his own weapon in addition to that up-close and personal damage from the turret. Beautiful play by nosfa, the 200 IQ coming out, but Effortless still looking to make something out of the final minute that he has access to.
Yeah, I was waiting for that turret to come out, and as soon as I saw it come out, I was like, yeah, he's done. He's pretty much done it, but still needs to try and find these 3 frags in the next minute, but it's looking pretty bleak here. Don't get me wrong, Effortless has the stack to do it, but I think Effortless realises that, you know, on a map like this, it's going to be very, very tough. Good first rail, but he just ran straight into that LG, but you can see Effortless is pretty much finished up here in this series. He did keep it close though, much closer in comparison to that last map, and I don't think Effortless played bad at all. That first map, we saw a lot of flair coming from Effortless. We saw a lot of energy, and, you know, in terms of the comeback, he really was making a comeback here, but, you know, it's just a little bit of a shame that that second map didn't go his way by any means required. GG's will be coming out from both these players with only 15 seconds left, but nosfa will be the one not winning 2-1 this time round. He'll be winning it 3-0 against the likes of Effortless. He's going to be pretty pleased about that. Just having a little victory jump off there just to solidify things. But yeah, Effortless, he shouldn't be too ashamed of how he performed like overall in this series. I feel like in that first map, it was really, really good. It was really entertaining as well. And there was only very little things he had to work on. It wasn't like he had, I don't know, like a massive shopping list of what he's got to try and work on and what he needs to actually do here or anything like that. It was just very little minor things that could have made a bigger impact in his gameplay. And I liked how that he always had very good mental fortitude coming into that matchup. But the second one was just, you know, a little bit different. I think he just got pretty much fed up after the first few minutes on Awoken. But on Molten Falls here, we saw a little bit more flair coming in from Effortless. But yeah, that jump up, look at it. I knew nosfa was going to have a little bit of a giggle there when he saw that happen, because nosfa would have got taken down there. Yeah, sure, he had the predicted rockets, don't get me wrong, but with the stack he was working with and the bull rush as well, Effortless should have probably taken that, but no, that jump off just did not do him any favors. But let's have a look at the stats. So 1,026 more damage for nosfa, and you can see he had 21 items to the 13 of Effortless, so much better control there from Effortless. And also, you can see the nosfa with 57% damage accuracy with the rail there from nosfa, which is pretty standard for nosfa. We should be used to it by now, especially against the scale. But good try from Effortless, but sadly just did not go his way.
Yeah, indeed. Map 1, really Effortless putting up a good fight. I mean, he put up a good fight for most of the series. Towards the end of Molten Falls, the second half of the map, you could tell that frustration was really setting in. He was spinning around a little bit, fired a shot or two in the air with the railgun at one point. But indeed, Map 1 was really close, clearly shows that Effortless has a lot of potential. He really made nosfa work for it, pushed him to the limit. One more rail or rocket could have completely changed the outcome of that map. But then Map 2, yeah, Effortless. A bit careless, it feels like, was somewhat unaware of where nosfa was positioned at times, and then got surprised, I think, in several occasions, and it all just kind of spiraled out of control from there. Often he tried to make for a push to try and tie it back up or just get control right back, but then ended up overextending and putting himself in a really bad situation. And the final map, he recovered quite nicely, kept it to a pretty close and solid game, but ultimately after that first fight went wrong, and then of course the ring out as well, it became very difficult to break nosfa's control. His positioning was just so smart, his damage output was supremely powerful, and he always had that turret at the ready as that final last resort against those bull rushes. So really clever plays from nosfa. Effortless once again showing that he's got the skills, he's got what he needs to make it happen. Now he just has to do it in practice, but unfortunately for him, a 0-3 loss. Congratulations to nosfa.
Yeah, I think Effortless after that last ring out, he was a broken man, wasn't he, Flea? Let's be honest. It looked so good at one point. It was just a little bit of a shame because that could have been, could have worked wonders for him if he won that engagement in the rail room. But it's just one of those things. But it doesn't matter, guys. We've still got 5 more matches left to come. Still plenty of Quake action along the way because we've only had 2. We've still got plenty more to come. So make sure you guys don't go anywhere as we'll be back in just a few moments.